Hi lovelies, it's Luna here, and this is a video for the women in my Healing Temple of the Light, which is a free online sanctuary for spiritual women who follow my work as a writer and healer, who makes the everyday spiritual and the spiritual everyday and brings light to the dark. Okay, so thank you for coming and joining me and watching. And some time ago in my Temple of the Light, I promised the ladies there that I would do a video about ancestral healing. And then I got really sick and didn't get a chance to do it, so I apologise. I've been meaning to do it for a while, and even before I posted in the temple, I'd had sort of like nudges of guidance and intuitive guidance to do the video. So I apologise that it has taken me so long to get round to it, and thank you for waiting for it. Okay, so what is ancestral healing? You must, perhaps if you're watching this, you might not know or might not have heard of that before. And it is a bit of a woo-woo term, really. And, people in spiritual communities wouldn't think that because they hear it all the time and it just gets bandied about, to be honest. But really, if you're not in a spiritual community, you sort of think, what does she mean by ancestral healing and ancestral lineage and stuff? It is a little bit out there, isn't it? So all that I mean by ancestors is just basically your relatives, past, present and future. So whether they're in spirit, have had a lifetime in your family that you know of, or have not been born into your family yet. That's what's meant. And healing is just making things better, basically. Keep it simple. So that's it in very, layman's terms. And really, what I was thinking about and what kind of started these intuitive nudges for me to do these videos was that I basically had a really simple ancestral healing that I was going through, and I was wondering whether other people would notice that they were doing the same thing, because everybody is doing ancestral healing all the time, whether they know it or not. And so it was really that I thought, oh, that's in the dark, isn't it? People probably don't actually realise that they're healing their ancestry all the time. So what I wanted to do really was talk about that and just kind of bring it to light. So basically, there's obviously sometimes you can have very deep and sometimes very painful and difficult ancestral healing. And that's probably the more obvious one. And, that's when you sort of think of yourself as being almost like a curse breaker or something like that. The black sheep that destroys it all. Love that role. Or, you can have this much more subtle type of ancestral healing. So I can talk about two examples of that of my own to kind of help you understand what you're doing with your own ancestral healing, so that you realise where you're doing it and where you're not. So basically what happened with me, excuse me, I got itchy nose. As most of you that have been following me will know, I was abused as a child, and one of the things was I wasn't fed or given drinks, and in particular I wasn't given drinks because, if you're very little and you need a drink, then you need nappy changing or you need taken to the toilet. So that makes you, if somebody's an abusive parent, that makes you an inconvenience. And therefore I was never given drink, and then it became like quite a big problem, because if I was given drink I always needed a wee because I wasn't used to it. And what I noticed was that my mum, she used to get me to get her a drink, but I couldn't get myself one, so I used to have to go and fetch her one and bring it. She quite often was like upstairs, so I'd have to go and bring her a drink. She wasn't ill, by the way. But I never got myself one. I never got given one myself, and I was so little that I was having to stand on things to get the drink from, the worktop and the sink. And because of that, I became somebody that I don't drink. I'm like a flipping camel, honestly. Like, people will be like, it's a hot summer's day. Oh my God, should we stop and get a drink if we're out for a walk? And I'm just look at them like, yeah, if you like. And I think I'm not remotely thirsty, because I don't even recognise being thirsty, because I just have never drunk. I've never been given drinks. I've never got myself drinks. So since I've been here on my own, since I fled all that abuse, I've been making myself drink, right? So it's not going very well, if I'm totally honest. But I am trying. And this particular day, I'd been and got myself, a big glass of water, and put the kettle on at the same time. And I just thought how drastically different that was to how the rest of my life has been and how all the rest of my family are. Because also what I noticed was if I went to one of my relatives' houses, on my mother's side, you'd wait a long time to be offered a drink. I mean, you would eventually get one, and I'm not saying they were rude, they weren't rude, but it just wasn't the first thing, and then you get one and you could be there all day, but you wouldn't necessarily get offered another one. And so I was thinking, oh, so she won't have had drinks when she was little, and then she's not really given me drinks. Then I haven't really been much of a drinker, so it's been harder for me to give my son drinks when he was little because I was never thirsty, because I wasn't taught to think about first. And also being autistic, you miss things like that because you've got so many other sensations and you're overstimulated all the time. So first just is really faded, and thirst and hunger in the background, if you like. So, arguably I probably didn't give him as many drinks as I should have done. I'm really sorry if you're watching, Dan, I'm so sorry. He does know I'm sorry. And, then he's gone on and actually he does drink enough now, and he takes bottles of water out with him and things like that. So if you think about it, he's doing ancestral healing as well. And I'm doing it as well. And that means, hopefully if he ever has children, he'll give them enough to drink. And then can you see it's been healed? So that's like a more simple, easier version, of ancestral healing. And it's not really necessarily something that we would ever think about, but it can be that simple as just, going and getting yourself a drink. Another example that's really good is, say, for example, nobody in your family previously ever attended higher education, and then you do, then really you're changing the future by doing that. So you are healing your ancestry. So, because your children and their children are much more likely to then go on to higher education if you have. It's just a fact, isn't it? That's what happens. So it can be these really simple things. And then obviously there's bigger things like, for example, me fleeing abuse and leaving abusive family members as well as my abusive relationship. Because if you look back through my ancestry, what I know of is that there was abuse, and I'm certain that before that there must have been abuse for there to then be abuse, to be abuse, to be abuse, to be abuse, and that's what happens. And if you look at like the latest studies, like the adverse childhood experience studies, for example, which is a scientific study looking at not just abuse but all adverse childhood experiences and the effect that they have on children, it is known that it's been proven by this scientific study that they are more likely to go on to either be abused, be abusive, be suicidal, be ill, be a criminal, be an addict. Terrible things come from it, and you can see that if nobody stops that, then that is the pattern that's going to repeat. I mean, if you think about it, let's try and think of an analogy maybe. So yeah, so we're talking about patterns, aren't we? So let's say you have a piece of paper and you have a blue pen, right? And you start doing a pattern, and that pattern's blue, right? And you hand your ancestor the blue pen because that's the only thing that you know of is the blue pen and the blue pattern. Now, if they carry on just doing that in a blue, then you're going to just have a blue pattern. But if that ancestor says, no, actually, I'm going to do something different, I'm going to change, I'm going to use a red pen, then the pattern becomes red, doesn't it? Or purple. But you see, it changes, and that's all it is. It's like handing the baton to somebody and saying, do you want to change this? And we have that opportunity all the time. The same way that somebody who's abusive has the choice, to carry that abuse on, wherever they've had abuse in the past or something bad happened to them, which is normally the case. I know it's not always, but majority of the time it is the case. So it's just these sort of like choices that we make really that are making a difference, and I don't think we always realise how big a difference our choices make in each moment. And if we realise that, then we can be more mindful of our choices and what we're doing and why we're doing it. Because intention, of course, is important as well. So I thought it was just worth sort of like touching on that really, because it was just one of those moments where I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing, getting this drink. I'm not just getting a drink. I'm changing history. Go me. With a glass of water. Who'd have thought? So it was just that really. And also something that I noticed, because here I'm in the UK, so here in the UK we've been in lockdown pretty much for a year, with just a few little breaks here and there. And something that I noticed during lockdown, because there's a lot of things online and on Facebook and things like that, social media from friends and family, I noticed that everybody was doing ancestral work. I was like, oh, is that why we're in lockdown? Because there's always got to be a higher reason, hasn't there, for this rubbish that goes on, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, now I get it. Yeah, everybody's getting a chance to breathe. And we were sort of given, if you want to kind of look at it from a positive point of view, and I do appreciate that it also had negative effects on people. But one of the things that we were given during that time was the time and space and opportunity to change our ancestral lineage. Lots of people did, because people that didn't exercise normally started exercising. People started to, for a period of time, I think like takeaways and things like that was shut, so people started thinking about their nutrition, and things, like supermarkets were selling out of things, so you had to be a bit more inventive, which meant you would potentially hopefully start to change the way you eat and things like that. And people started going to like local farmers and things, because that was where they could get the things that they wanted and they couldn't get them in the supermarket. And I just thought that was brilliant, because it was actually leading us into a healthier life and was giving us an opportunity to change our ancestry without actually knowing that that's what we were doing. And then we had more time with family. Again, I do appreciate that that's not always easy, and for some people it will have been hell, and I know that. But for a lot of people, they had a chance to change how they interact and relate with their family members and things like that. A chance to recognise what their loved ones really mean to them, because when you can just go and see them anytime you like, you do take it for granted, in all honesty. So being away from them, or if you did follow the rules, then not being able to see them, that kind of thing, brought us into like a more of a sort of like a family mode, I felt. And I did feel it was about ancestral healing, and it gave us all a chance to just be totally different and do things differently. And even if not everybody was doing it, because some people were doing the kind of what I call the groundwork, like clearing, if you like, clearing the funky energy from the earth, or in my case, clearing a gigantic concrete block of patriarchy through my lived experience. Go me. So there was kind of like two sets, if you like. There were people that were kind of dealing with the drudge and clearing out the old, and there were people that were working on bringing in the new, and that formed part of ancestral healing. And I did think that was just magical, actually, to see. And I did see it around here even, like some neighbours took up hobbies and things that they didn't have, and they're still doing them. The community, we came together more as a community. That's a change. Our ancestors had to do that to survive, if you go back a long time. But then that had stopped, hadn't it, really? And it sort of like had to start up again. And I love that. I think that's perfect. Long may that one continue. But you can see that we've been given that opportunity. So I just thought it was worth highlighting that, really, in case other people hadn't noticed. And then the other thing that happened to me recently, one of my lifetime guides is Mother Mary, right? Who I know has a really sweet and soft image, but she's actually kick-ass, right? She's my homegirl, and she kicks my ass regular. And one of the things that she'd been doing was reminding me that I had a book that my granddad on my mother's side had gifted me, right? And I was like, oh, I don't want to look at it. I was a bit scared of it, I think. I don't know why, but I kind of like for a long time I've been quite scared of it. And this is a notebook that my granddad had given me. And I'd had it wrapped in a dark cloth and everything, you know, like to sort of, I don't know, protect the energy of it, shield it. And she's like, no, it's time. You need to go and look at that book. It's time. And I was like, I don't want to. I wrapped it in a dark cloth. I'm scared of it. And she's like, no, you know, you won't be scared of it now. You've changed. Yeah, so it's important that you go and look at it now. So I went to look at it and I remembered what it was. It's actually amazing. So I was like, how can I have, you know, I obviously just wasn't ready to receive the gift of it. So that's why I was frightened of it and I'd wrapped it in a dark cloth, because that fear and the dark cloth was serving to make sure that it was done in divine timing when I was ready. And basically this book, again, this lighting isn't great and you don't want my head like that. This notebook, and basically what it is, what my granddad told me it was, his parents, before he was born, so they were sort of, I think, sort of like late teens, early 20s, were holding spiritual circles and seances in their attic because you couldn't just do it openly, or it was unusual to do it, and it wasn't fully safe to do it openly back then. And they were channeling from spirit guides and spirits information with spiritual teachings in, and it's in this book. Can we just take a moment to, oh my goddess, right? And so I got it out and I just started to look at it. I was honestly absolutely gobsmacked. I mean, some of it's a bit difficult to understand because the handwriting's beautiful, but it's very faint now. And also the language, you know, because it's obviously of their time. So the language is beautiful because it's like oldie worldy language. It's got channeled poems in it. So I was like, oh my goddess, my ancestors were poets and I am. And I didn't know. I didn't know. So I was like, wow, amazing. But then when I started to look through it even more, it's got like the names of the guides that come through and a bit about them. So they're just like spirits really that are coming through from the other side. And I don't know if they're their ancestors of ours as well. I don't know. And it's got spiritual teachings. But when I looked at it, I realised the spiritual teachings that they're bringing through, they're trying to bring through the goddess. Because back then, people would have been talking about the goddess or the divine feminine or, you know, sacred woman or anything like that. It was all Jesus, God. You know, it was a time of Christianity and, you know, a time where all that sort of paganism had been, well, taken over, hadn't it, as we know. And woman had been removed from divinity by their teachings. And this book is trying to bring them back through. Now, it doesn't say goddess because it's obviously it's got to come through the filter of their perspective and their understanding at that time. But it's all about the earth and nature and about feminine principles and how that's what's needed. And it's talking about a split between spirit and body. Right, and obviously body is woman, and how that's the problem with the earth. And it also talks about how people are not in their power. Honestly, it's amazing. It's like a little mini Bible channeled, you know, years and years ago by my ancestors. So I just wanted to share with you it really, and I shared a couple of the poems on a group that I'm on Facebook called The Way of the Rose, because the poems were just really of the kind of matched the philosophies of that group. And I've got one here. I don't know if I can read it actually, because I'm not. Grab these stupid Deirdres that I don't like. me Deirdre Barlow's. Right. A mountain though it's hard to climb, a beauty will to conqueror show, as when we reach the end of time, we'll see things clearer here below. Well, will we know? The troubles that beset us here, if taken with a smiling face, are handrails to a higher sphere, where sorrow cannot find a place. So let us get together, let us win the fight, let us storm the weather, let us all unite. And it'll be funny, if you know my poetry, some of my poetry sounds like that, don't you think? That's amazing. But my favourite bit in this book that's channeled, and you're going to love this, right? Christian spiritualist Indian commandments. And those of you that know me will know that I've had Shaktipat initiation, which is kind of, East. It's basically a sacred, ancient Indian sacred lineage of the divine feminine. So the Christian spiritualist is kind of West, and Indian commandment is East. It's East meets West, West meets East. In commandments, in a book that's been channeled by my ancestors. So just how amazing is that? And it's, let's get these on again, aren't I? Right, health, labour, education, hospitality, kindness, motherhood and fatherhood. I haven't read that one yet. Sanctity, frankness, contentment, immortality. What this motherhood and fatherhood says: honour thy father and thy mother, who gave thee the life, and bear and rear the children the Great Spirit blessed them with, giving them that heritage of health and strength which all kind nature has vouchsafed to them. Some of it doesn't quite make sense, but I guess it's channeled. My granddad said it was like automatic writing that they were doing. Sanctity, that thou shalt preserve the sanctity of thy body as well as of thy spirit. Amazing, isn't it? And then at the front, they've channeled. They were obviously seeing auras, so what they've asked the spirit guide is what the different colours mean. And it says, possession of a very pure colour must have used the power of that colour, because it brings it on and would not be here otherwise. Muddy colour denotes power is there, but has not been used, hence the dulling of it. Well, I'll remember that, thank you. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this book, but what I really wanted to talk about to do with the book, aside from what's in it, which is obviously fascinating, and do let me know if you want to see more of it, or if you think I should write a book with it, or any ideas welcome, because it's blown my mind, to be honest. Really was that what they were doing, they were obviously hiding in an attic, so whatever era it was, and my maths is terrible, so my guess is it was in the very early 1900s. I'm 44, they were in the sort of like late teens, early 20s, and they're my great grandparents. So if anybody's good at maths or that kind of thing, perhaps you could add in the comments your sort of guess of what time you think that would be, what century and everything, what date even. So, but they weren't able, they couldn't, obviously they didn't have videos, but they couldn't have done this kind of thing and just put it out publicly. And there will have been some people that were doing that. I think they did have spiritualist churches, but it was quite new and quite radical. And obviously wherever they lived, it must have been very brave. And really, they have paved the way for me to be able to do this goddess work by seeding the goddess teachings in this book. And how amazing is it that I've got it? Like, that just wouldn't normally happen, would it? I wouldn't normally have hold of it. I can't believe that my granddad gifted me it, and he must have known. No, he did know. He always knew things. Yeah, and also just that, my ancestors were spiritualists, mediums, and healers, and then here I am doing this work, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, right, I'm with you. So, but they've made it easier for me. They've obviously, by just having the energy in their house of doing that work, whether it was allowed or not, or thought of as being insane or whatever it was that was stopping them from doing it. Just the fact that they did do it means that for all of us, they brought that energy into the earth. And the more, so I've got a bit of cat fur flying around here, it's going up my nose. I'm such a charmer, aren't I? Told you, you get it straight with me. Yeah, just that will have changed, it will have changed. It will have made it possible for us to be doing this. And that's a real gift. So I just wanted to say thank you to them, really. And then the other thing, I just thought very quickly on this video, I don't want it to go on and on, it's quite long already, sorry about that. I just thought I'd pull some cards from our ancestors as well, seeing as we're here. So, because I don't know who's going to watch it or who's going to get this far with the video, you might just watch the first few minutes or whatever. I think if you've got this far, what I think you should do is just think of an ancestor in spirit, right? And then I'll pull a card. Okay, so I'll just give you a moment to sort of, I'll shuffle the cards and you can kind of think about who you'd like a little message from. So these cards are Talking to Heaven by Doreen Virtue and James Van Praagh. Okay. I don't know if you can still get them because I think Doreen Virtue did withdraw all of her cards, I think. But you can probably get something similar anyway. So, okay, so if you just want to, I'm just going to ask your ancestor, whoever it is that you're thinking of, to just help me to pick a card. And you just think of them. I just heard blonde hair. I don't know if that's relevant to anybody. Maybe you've got it. Or maybe they have. I don't know. Ah, I am with the rest of the family. Are you now? Do you want to elaborate? Running with the dogs in the park, they said. I don't know if that means anything to you. It doesn't mean anything to me. Sitting on the bench like we sometimes used to do. So I don't know who that's for, but hopefully it'll be a comfort to somebody. Don't do the crazy thing you're thinking of doing. I don't know, sorry, I don't know who that's for, but I just heard that, so I'm just going to give it. And so if they know they shouldn't do it. Oh, did you hear Goku then as well? Goku's always like, he's like a spirit guide, and he stood up going, roar. Thank you, Goku. You've been told. It's like an ascended master in cat form, that cat. So whatever crazy thing you're thinking of doing, don't do it. So why is it crazy? It will lead to heartache and pain. And if you're the person that this person's speaking to, then they're saying that you know that and you've got like a funny feeling about it, but you're ignoring it. Okay. Sorry, I don't know who that's for. I feel terrible just throwing that message out there. I don't class myself as a medium. I just get messages now and again. It's this one as well. Ooh. Oh, same thing really. I am surrounded by loving animals. I don't know if You know, just have a look at the animals as well. Like, are they familiar? Do they look like some of yours that passed? How lovely. Great. So you're with some of the family animals. I just heard the word Katie. Sort of hear something, but it's not coming through. Right, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's just do another one for somebody that's thinking of an ancestor now that's watching this. Just give me a card for them. That'll be relevant to them. My mind is free. And just look at that as well. That building might be relevant. The clouds, actually, I just heard that the clouds are relevant. So if you've got an ancestor who's at, you know, my mind is free, that kind of would resonate with you. Perhaps they had mental illnesses or dementia, or you know, something like that. Yeah, and there's something about that old building. It looks like a castle, you know, with the little turret things. But the clouds, they're saying to me it's the clouds. So if you've got somebody that speaks to you with the clouds, you know, maybe they send you messages in the clouds, or I tell you what I'm seeing now, you know, the aeroplanes with the streams. I'm seeing that like a big kiss in the sky. So if you've got somebody that speaks to you like that, like sends you messages like that, then that's their message. Okay, my mind is free. I wish mine was. Yeah, they're saying it doesn't hurt anymore. Oh, they're saying time for you to free your mind. Yeah, so are you maybe finding the grief difficult and feel like you're a bit stuck on them? If that resonates with you, then it's maybe time to just gently and of course in your own time, because grief, you know, can't just be burst through, can it? But in your own time, you know, maybe just set that intention that in your own time you're going to free your mind from thinking of them all the time. And and they're saying then you can walk on. So I don't know if that means something. Or being a Scouser, maybe that's you know, you'll never walk alone, because that's walk on through the storm, walk on through the rain, and you'll never walk alone. Oh, that's a lovely message, isn't it? That's for me. I'll just sit here giving myself messages, shall I? No, I think it is for one of you guys. You'll know who you are. Are there any other cards for somebody else that's watching this, that's thinking of their ancestors? Or ancestor, I should say. So another one for them. It's just that one there. If I had only known then what I know now, I would have lived differently. I think this person's looking for forgiveness. Oh, I just heard suicide. Drugs. It's okay, isn't it? It's all right. We all have our different paths, don't we? And they're showing the earth there, they're seeing it from a different perspective. They're saying to you, there are no mistakes. Okay, there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes, and you're on the right path. You're overthinking it, they're saying. You're overthinking it. That's my trick. They want to connect more with you. Yeah, they're saying, you know, go silent, meditate. If they're saying it's not your sort of thing to meditate, but maybe consider, you know, going for a walk. They're showing me like you go for a walk by some water. They're saying go there and just be willing to take their hand at that time. Things will start to flow from there. So that's the way of starting a connection with them. That's lovely, isn't it? Any more for any more? I've got to use these. I've got these other ones. Thought I was going to have to use these, but I thought, why would I be using these? We're obviously having a Doreen Virtue Day. Healing with the Angels, Oracle Cards by Doreen Virtue. Again, I don't think these will be in print anymore because she withdrew her collection. Well, thank you for letting me own some of her withdrawn cards. Okay, so what's the message with this one then, please? This is for a man that wouldn't normally watch a video like this and isn't going to tell anyone that they have. Well, hello and welcome. And they're going to be quite shocked that they're getting a message, apparently. Well, don't worry. Dreams. Yeah, so they're saying you've got a dream that you want to follow, but you think it's not like the manly right thing to do. And they're saying that you need to follow your dreams, even if it takes you, you know, away from traditionally perceived roles of men, even if it makes you feel like less of a father. Even if you're worried about money, you need to follow those dreams. You need to do it, okay? Do it, do it, do it, do it. I dare you, triple dare you. Do it and report back. Go on. Oh, I just heard you've got our backing. So you've got the backing of your ancestors, which is quite powerful, you know, because if you think about all the things they survived, how many lifetimes they will have had, like billions of lifetimes, the amount of wisdom in that. You know, if they say go for it, go for it. Yeah, I should take some of my own advice here. Okay. Any more for any more? It's just this one here, and this time it's for a lady, an older lady, I think. Focus. Oh, this is about. Oh, looks. Oh my God, it looks like the Rosary, which is Mother Mary. It's not, but she's got like a ring of roses. I just heard that rhyme, ring of roses. That was about the plague or something, wasn't it? Like a pandemic. No, it's about focusing on something that you're creating. You need to get to work and get focused on it. God, they're quite bossy, this one. Yeah, stop procrastinating, whoever it is. God, how cheeky do I feel? It wasn't me, it was the ancestors. And finally, I just wanted to pull one last one. I've deliberately brought these. These are Star Temple Oracle by Susie Cherub. Oh, it's so old, honestly. And these are about the Pleiadian star system, which resonates with me. So perhaps if you've got this far, it might resonate with you. The beauty, honestly, I mean, even look at the back of those cards, right? Like a galaxy, but I probably can't see it, and this camera's rubbish. Like, ooh. Right, okay, we've got some jumping out, great. like a purple with golds and it's gorgeous. Hey, I've just realised it matches my top. Hey, I've got an ancestral top on, haven't I? Of all these stars. Pictures of your ancestors before they were born. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce these. Easter. It's spelled Asterope, but I think it's Easter something, I think. I'll have to have a look in the book, I'm afraid. The cosmos, ascend, I connect to oneness and expand my awareness. I don't know how to pronounce this either, I'm not doing very well. Pleiades, I think. Mother of the sea, goddess. Surrender to the boundless creative flow of the ocean. Well, these are both really pretty, so let's just, you can see. Sorry about my mess. If I have to have that so I can see, if you can see. My big goblin there. Right, let's have a look then. Oh, I've just opened it on that one. Divine Feminine, Queen, Creatrix. Pleione, I think that is how you say it, Mother of the Sea, prays for our ocean's sacredness and infinite flow of sustenance. She supports you to submit to the endless, inspired current of her sacred waters. The Divine Feminine is multifaceted and flowing freely through you. Embrace your divinity and sovereignty with self-love. It may be time to release self-nurture and have deep rest. Perhaps you need to heal a mother wounding with sweet surrender, compassion and acceptance. Well, if that isn't for me, I don't know what is. I don't know if it resonates with you or not. Mother wound is the projection of your mother's pain onto you, and the ideas you have where you feel that you have let your mother down generally, or any wounding that relates to your relationship with your mother, basically. But that's the most common sort of ones. So maybe have a think about that and think about if that has been happening, and if it has, then that is a perfect opportunity for ancestral healing, because you can take whatever that projection and belief is and alter it, change it, say, no, we're not having that in here anymore. It can be gone, banished. I'm going to do different. Oh, here she is. I still don't know how to. Let me see if it tells me anywhere how to pronounce it, because I don't know. Oh, yeah. So Easterapy. So she's Easterapy. That's nearly right. Oneness, unison, arise. You are in a powerful cycle of spiritual expansion. This opening out into oneness consciousness accelerates your spiritual growth and psychic awareness. The realization that we're all connected opens up your psychic sight to reveal a clear connection to higher realms. The Sisters of the Cosmos are supporting you to extend your awareness to the infinite potential and possibilities available to you. Lift your vibration and ascend into the Pleiades vision of unity. Willingness to see a higher vision creates expansion. Some good messages there. So I'm not going to go into those. I think it's not a reading, this one. So I think take from that what you will. Oh, that's what I wanted to say as well. As I was preparing to do this the other day, I was sort of like, I wasn't very well and I've been in bed and stuff, and I had my laptop here. And when I went to get up, the cat went on it and put his paw on it. And it was my little spirit guide cat. So, you always have to pay attention in particular to him. And this screensaver came on that I haven't set, that I've never seen before. And it was the exact same picture from the Taking Risks card from my full moon Scorpio moon reading that I did the other day for you all. So I took a picture, so I'm gonna have to show them this. And it was as I was preparing, so I do think one of the messages then was don't take a risk. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that actually. too much light. Can you see? It's the exact same picture as what was on that Taking Risks card from the Sacred Destiny Oracle that we got the other day. So I think one of the messages, well, the person who was thinking of the ancestor and got the specific message, don't do anything crazy. Please don't do anything crazy. But everybody else, not that I want to cause division after getting the Unity card, Taking Risks thing came back up. Because it was on the screensaver, the same picture, and I just thought, yeah, we need to take risks, you know. Yeah, perhaps we do need to be quite brave with some of these choices about changing our ancestry for the future generations, and not even just our own ancestry. You know, we need to be a good ancestor now and save the earth. Whether we like it or not, we look at climate change and what's happening, we can't pretend any longer that the planet is just going to survive and some miracle will just come along. You know, we are the miracle. We are the chosen ones. We came here for a reason at the time that the earth is dying, and that reason is to save it. So, you know, if you want your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren or future generations to be able to come and incarnate on earth and it be safe, they need to act now. And in that sense, we need to be brave and take risks and be totally different from the norm, you know, be radical, be like my ancestors that were doing something that just, you know, wasn't the norm, wasn't acceptable, but they knew in their heart and soul was for the greatest good. And if you've got that, you know, just like that dreams card that we just got as well, you know, please, please, please do it. Please do it. You know, follow it through. We need more people doing that. The more people do it, the easier and easier it gets for everybody to do it. Okay, so that's just the final message. I hope you liked the video. I'm sorry it has gone on a bit long again. I don't seem to be capable of short videos, but no, all is in divine will. Okay, darlings, I love you all so much, and thank you so much for watching and joining in, and I appreciate all your comments and sharing of the videos and things like that. Okay, take care, and I'll be back soon. Love you lots. Bye.